Each of the psychic senses has their own specific term. Those terms come from the French language. The first part of each word is clair, which translates in English to clear. The second part of the word has to do with the sense ability that it is referring to in regards to the psychic center. Okay, welcome to Soul Awareness with Constance Messmer. I'm really stoked because today we're going to go over the beginning information in regards to the perceptions of your soul's awareness, which is what this podcast is all about. So we've done sufficient foundation work to this point, and now we're going to spend weeks together as we look through each of the ways that we can perceive psychic information. So it is going to be very fun for both of us because I'm really looking forward to these next several segments. Okay, you remember in grade school you learned about the 5 physical perceptions, the 5 senses. You learned about touch, with the skin. You learned about sight, that you see things with your eyes, hearing things with your ears, smelling things with your nose, tasting things with your tongue. These are what you experience your physical world with. There is also what's called the psychic senses, your soul's perception, which are discovered through the awareness of your soul. And it is your soul's perception. These are the natural ways that your soul perceives the spiritual aspects of your environment. In other words, the energy patterns, the vibrations, the underlying feelings, higher realm communication. So by fully tapping into these psychic senses, you increase your awareness and you begin to live the unlimited potentials you have as a soul. When you have psychic awareness, it is through your higher consciousness. We literally shift our vibration to a higher frequency of our higher self when we're focusing our awareness in this way. We shift our awareness much in the same way as your mind drifts or wanders. But this focus that I'm talking to you about is with intention and purpose, as opposed to the meandering, kind of vacating, allowing your mind to daydream. When we shift our awareness, we are literally shifting our vibration in this way. Much like the physical senses of touch, sight, hearing, smelling, taste, same is with the soul senses. We have the ability to experience touch, to have a psychic sight, to have psychic hearing, to have smell, and to have taste. All of these things can occur on an inner or outer level. So you can have these experiences happen in the physical, or they can happen through the spiritual dimension. And we will get into each and every one of them. The way we receive psychic information is to expand these psychic senses for clear perception. When you connect psychically, you are moving your energy field with intention, just by the desire, just by the effort in focusing in. It's all about where you are focusing your awareness. Yes, it is an altered state of consciousness since you are moving beyond the physical. This stuff is happening on a soul level. This experience is happening on a soul level. It is a subtle experience that most people miss, but it is happening all of the time. Sometimes people choose not to develop it or don't even know to take their experiences further. And that is what I want to help you with. Did I tell you about the experience when I was doing Reiki on a woman when I was making a house call? I've not even been doing this podcast that long, but I'm like, did I tell them this story? And I don't want to go listen to all the podcasts. So if I've told you it, just bear with me. I'm going to tell you the story again. So I was making house calls and I went over to this woman's house and she was already doing massage or had a massage table in her house. So she just had a throw blanket over the massage table. I went in and we started in. I started in, I scanned her energy, stuff like this. And after a while, when I laid hands on her, which is what you do with Reiki, is with Reiki, energy moves out to your hands. It comes from the universe in through your body and it's channeled out the chakras in your hands and your feet and everywhere else. But anyway, specifically in your hands for the healing sessions. And while I was working on her, this was not necessarily when I was doing Reiki with readings. Of course, I told you before, Spirit kind of nudged me along in the experience. But while I was there, I had my eyes closed working on her, just kind of tuning into her body and the subtle sensations that I felt in her energy field to help balance the energy. And yes, I was directing the Reiki energy. I had to kind of perceive what was going on so that I could use advanced symbols to help channel and funnel the energy or maybe do specific types of the energy frequency in the various areas. But while I was having that happen, I became aware of an energy in the room. I felt the energy of the room shift. And when I felt this, I turned to look where in the room, I opened my eyes and I turned to look where in the room am I feeling this energetic shift. And in the corner, I knew because it was like a kind of like a magnet being drawn to that corner of the room. Plus, when I leaned in that way, physically leaned towards it, I could feel like there's just a different frequency. It was like bumping up against a wall, if you will, in that corner. So then I psychically decided to look. I'm going to get into that later, how I did that. But I psychically decided to look. And in looking, I saw light. Now, I didn't see it in my mind's eye. I saw it in the physical, just by the desire to look into the realms and see it. I saw a light in the corner of the room. Then I psychically asked in my mind, who is there? Because I knew there was a presence, right? So I said, who is there? I asked that in my mind. In my mind, I heard back the word mother. So I decided to go for broke and I told the client on the table, your mother is here. Do you mind if I tell you about it? Now, because I honored and acknowledged the fact that that light glowing in the corner was, in fact, her mother, a form appeared and I saw the form. And the only reason I saw the form was because I believed. So the woman said, "Yes, I definitely want to hear from her." So then I asked the mother in my mind, not out loud. I could have done it out loud for the benefit of the woman lying on the treatment table, but I asked the spirit in my mind, "What do you want me to tell her?" Because I felt like the mother was like pregnant with information, right? This is just like it just felt like she wanted to just chat. And so I asked the mother on the other side, what do you want me to tell her? And psychically, the mother didn't say anything. I couldn't hear her talk. Um, Instead, I saw her quilting. Now, interestingly enough, the night prior, I had just this is how old this experience was. The night prior on TV, I had seen the movie How to Make an American Quilt. And so I thought, "Oh, that's the only way." I've never quilted in my life, but that was the only way I was aware enough to know what she was up to and was able to say, "Listen, I I told the daughter, "She's quilting. Do you understand that message?" And the daughter said, "Oh my god, yes, I totally understand that message. You see, my mother was a quilter, and I have my mother's quilt collection." And then she sat upon the treatment table, and she picked up the top blanket that was covering the table, but what then I realized was all of these underneath, she had layers. She goes, "All of these blankets are a few of my mother's quilts from her quilt collection." And so the so she was laying on top of all of these quilts. Isn't that fabulous? I love that. Okay, so just to recap, right? Psychically, I felt in my energy awareness, when my eyes were closed, I felt the energy of the room shift. It felt like a slight pressure against my body, right? While my eyes were closed. Then I opened my eyes with the intention to tune in, where is that coming from? And I literally felt my a magnetic pull to the corner of the room. Then I chose to psychically look with my eyes, what's there? And the light appeared. Now, I didn't ask her if she saw the light, and I actually don't think she saw the light. But what I'm telling you is that we can get these soul sensations on a physical level externally or on an internal level soulfully, right? Then don't forget, I psychically asked in my mind, who's there? Because I saw the light. I knew somebody was there, right? This is just how it works. Somebody was there. And it felt lovely. The energy felt lovely. I wasn't afraid of it or anything. And when I psychically asked in my mind, who's there? It was the first thing that came back. And I heard mother. When I told the client that your mother is here, that was when the mother had the energy to transform into her physical so I could actually describe her to her daughter. And then is when I asked him because I believed, right? I believed like, oh, I'm acknowledging that, yes, she's the mother. So my acknowledgement gave the mother actually strength and affirmation to then transform, not just from her pure form light of spirit, but now to her physical form that she inhabited while walking on the earth with her daughter. And then I was able then to, not able, but then next I asked, what do you want me to tell her? So I started engaging in the conversation. The conversation all happened within my own mind, in my thoughts, right? And don't forget, she didn't say anything. She just did what she could in that space. She showed me she was quilting. Sometimes loved ones on the other side, they're not great at speaking. And so they have to get the message across by imaging a picture. Listen, it's really interesting with mediumship and connecting with loved ones that have crossed. They're only as good as they're capable of delivering, and we're only as good as we're capable of receiving. But it happens on a vibrational level. The experience happens vibrationally. So they'll use anything and everything that they can to get the message across, right? Then after I saw her quilting and had to laugh because spirit had synchronistically set me up to understand what she was doing by my watching the movie the night before, How to Make an American Quilt. Can you imagine if I'd have blown off that movie and not watched it? I wouldn't have been prepared. So sometimes this little like, I think I'll watch this movie. This seems good. I actually think we got it from the video store. How old is that? Like pop the video in and then watch the video. That's exactly what we did. And, so thank goodness I was like, "Oh, I think I'll watch this." I remember actually being at the video store going it just, like, popped out on the shelf, I swear to you. Not literally falling out, but it was just like my eyes scanned and it stopped right on it. So I was like, "I think I'm gonna watch that." What perfect timing, right? This is the universe. Now, I really think that was her mother conspiring and helping and kind of putting it in my path so that I would be prepared for the connection that she made to her daughter. And when I told the daughter, listen, she's quilting. Do you understand that message? The daughter did understand. Now, I know, and then was able to show me, right, that all the quilts under the bed. Now, I know further from there we went on and there were more messages, but this is just for me to tell you this story to illustrate the ways my soul was able to perceive the experience with her, right? So there was touch because I felt the physical sensation on my body of the energy shifting in the room. There was sight. I was able to see not only the light, but the mother quilting and the mother form here in regards to when she said mother. No smell or taste in that experience. They weren't called for or anything. But definitely a lot. The mother used a lot of information to let me know that she was in the room. So here's a little thing that's kind of bizarre, but it's true. When you're tuning in to whether, on a nature walk through the woods and just tuning into the spirit of the trees or connecting with your loved ones, walking with them in nature, the process is focused and relaxed at the same time. So focused by you have your intention and this is what you want to do and this is where you want to go and this is the type of conversation or connection you want, strong conversation, strong connection, but it's also relaxed. And by that, I just also mean, don't get so worked up. This is, remember those, you know, over eagerness, you got to drop that. And so relaxed is just like, it's inquisitive. How's that? It's really inquisitive. The connection is about having, being inquisitive. Like, don't forget, I studied journalism, right? And mass communications. And I was good at, research. I'm still pretty good at research and finding out who do I need to go for what kind of information. So I use that in these skills that I'm going to teach you. But first and foremost, I want to tell you, as we explore the various psychic receptive centers over the next few weeks, we're going to discern whether or not we're picking up or receiving information based on a psychic connection of the soul. In other words, seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting that, or if we're getting the information by blending energy fields with someone for an empathic connection, or shared sensory experience. We're going to get into these. I did mention them before in another podcast, if you can't recall. So you might want to go back and go, wait, what were those definitions about again? But I want to tell you that and the other way of getting the information is just your own intuition and claircognizance. Uh, yeah, those are the different ways you can get information. So there's that. I think you probably figured out on your own that trust from us makes the connection stronger. Whether we are talking to God, whether we are talking to loved ones that have crossed, whether we are trying to communicate with our dog or an animal, or whether we're trying to get in touch with an enlightened being, or have our own experience of looking at our soul through the Akashic records. Trust makes it stronger. So don't forget, we learned the tools already about throwing light and are you of God? Is this the highest truth? All of these things. But I just want you to remember that the connection is stronger when we believe it as true. When we believe, oh, did you say this? Listen, that's exactly what you could do is say, did you say this? I want to, speak up. Show me something. I can't see what you're saying. I can't see you, or I can't hear you. Speak up. I really appreciate your joining me for this segment, and I look forward to our time together again. As always, you've been listening to Soul Awareness with Constance Messmer. Thanks for tuning in. Legally speaking, this podcast is presented solely for educational, spiritual, and entertainment purposes. It is not intended as a substitute for medical diagnosis, treatment, or the advice of a physician, psychotherapist, or other qualified professional. You should not use this information to diagnose or treat a health problem or condition. Always check with your doctor. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today. If you've enjoyed this episode of Soul Awareness with Constance Messmer, we'd like to encourage you to continue your spiritual journey with this next episode.